Hey, can you hear me?
You hear me? Yeah, I hear you well. How you doing, man?
Good, good. How's everything?
How was today?
What's that?
How it was today? You had a good day?
Yeah, I didn't trade today. I just chilled out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was having some bad Fridays.
You decided to cut it that like no
Yeah,
more.
I just said, let me see what's going on. Is this like really a psychological thing, or is it just like something going on like within the setups themselves? But if I would have traded, it would have been a great day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
some buddies that have the same issue on Mondays. Actually,
Oh,
my
Monday.
yeah, my flash partner actually, Fernando, the guy who trades also systematically using data strategies. He notices that Mondays are his worst days ever. Like
No,
he's
Mondays are my best days.
wow,
Just like Fridays. But I mean,
that's weird.
I looked at it and because I looked at it last night, and it turned out that because on I don't know if you're familiar with Trader Sync.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have the whole setup where you can like track your setups and things like that. And I have been making some mistakes on Fridays, but a lot of Fridays, to be honest, has been too much size, and I've just been taking a loss.
yeah.
And yeah, so it just turns out that monetarily wise, it has been my worst days. But as far as strategy goes, it's been fine. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Fridays, man.
It's maybe that kind of random statistic that
Yeah,
you
because
you don't
Akon,
ever know if that's enough to take a conclusion or
yeah,
whatever.
today Akon, I would have crushed it. That BTTR, whatever, I would have crushed that. But
Yeah.
hindsight is whatever. Who knows? I would have gotten in, and the thing probably would have shot up. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But just weird.
And man, you're now
How did
on.
you guys do?
Sorry.
How did you guys do? How did you guys do today?
I did well. I had a pretty average day. I messed it up in a bit in pre-market, but then the day was giving. I did some longs on Lucy and on NMD
Yeah.
and a short
O-M.
on Dirks.
Yeah. OMND.
Yeah, it squeezed a bit and I went long then.
Yeah, that one I expected that one from yesterday to go berserk. I was like, shorts are crazy on this one.
Yeah, and it stays safe sideways and the after hours and stuff. Yeah, it was not a a nice short setup.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
people trapped there.
Yeah, they got shorts yesterday into after hours,
Yeah.
and I guess today during the day. But that's one of those. I learned that from that Mad Ass Money.
Yeah.
When once you see every short is in trouble, the next day is a good long if the gap is not supremely high. Because it's gonna fall back into those short bag holders, and it could make for a good bounce. Buy.
Yeah.
I haven't been taking that setup a lot, but it's a really good setup. I mean, I think he does well on it.
You don't long a lot, right?
It has to be like really specific. Um, I've talked about my 1030 breakout.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily a high winning strategies, but when everything lines up, it's insane, and you could get some really big winners on it. Like when they hit, they hit.
Yeah.
Um, you just have to, I don't know, like have the patience to just like keep trying them when it's going. Because I think Holo was the best one I've had like
Oh,
this
I
year.
think I saw
Like,
that. I think
Yeah,
this is
one
not true.
once that like when they hit, they hit. They could just go berserk into after hours, into the next day.
Yeah, longs
And
are like that. Like you won't win as much as you would expect to, but when you win,
yeah,
you win
yeah,
big.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
It's like I've tracked it and even put some criterias to it.
yeah,
Like bring the strategy up a bit to like over 30-40%. And but like I said, it's not high win rate strategy, but when it does hit, I mean it's because you're gonna catch the swan, and that's the only
yeah,
really way I know how to catch them.
yeah. The rare event.
Yeah, you're gonna catch them,
Huh.
once in a while, and that could make up for the losses and then some. So
Yeah.
it's trial and error sort of thing.
So,
So
brother, how about
yeah,
if I start making you some questions and we go in deep on the on every detail and let you
yeah,
explain well?
yeah. Let's do it.
So, man, I'm gonna present you as for people. If people don't know you, you are a former Marine, right? That became a
Yes,
trader.
yes, yep. Simplified Ellis.
Uh huh. And when did you become a trader? When did you start trading?
So I started trading like via really the investment route in like 2014. I had a buddy that had subscriptions to Motley Fool. I'm not sure if you're like aware of that. And he would like
Mm,
throw me bones on what stocks to buy via their you know what they were talking about or what they were saying to buy and hold and things like that. Um, it just turns out that the investment part of it is meant for like really long term holding. And I just didn't have the patience for it. And from investment,
yeah.
and I know it's backwards, but I went from trying to invest in whole long term to really more short term strategies. And I got into scalping, just from things I've seen on YouTube and things that people are doing on the long side of it, basically scalping on the long side. And that's how I really started and got into trading.
And you were profitable doing that kind of scalping alongside?
So that's interesting. And I think it goes into the whole discipline and it's not necessarily, and people have talked about it, it's not necessarily the strategy, it's really the person. And I've went from being profitable scalping to really losing discipline and losing everything about me, and getting caught in offerings and things like that, adding to losers, to becoming unprofitable. I was unprofitable for the first couple of years, scalping on the long side. So you'll have a really good week, and then one day off that week or one day off that month, and you'll lose everything just from losing
Yeah.
discipline. And that's just really how that was.
And what did you see for taking decisions? Like you were more tape based back then?
No, I've always sort of been kind of like an indicator type trader,
Okay.
um, using EMAs and things like that. One of the big things I went into, warrior trading chat room, took their
Mm,
courses, read the dude book and things like that. And a lot of people say stuff about him. It is what it is. I don't know the dude personally, but I made money trading the strategies. It's just it was a me thing. I screwed the strategies up, by being greedy or whatever the case may be. He had this, the gap and go strategy, the pre-market high breakout and things like that. But after times, these strategies they get worn down and they don't work as much. or you yourself, you get greedy and the market will toast you. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And how did you evolve over time to get to the point that you are at now? How was the process?
Well, really, you sort of like look back on things, and I think like every short seller, you go, oh man, if I was short in this, I would be, I would be profitable.
Yeah.
And so I started looking into short selling. I didn't even know that it was a thing, to be honest. So I started looking into that, basically from the aspect of I was getting caught in offerings. Like, I lost a lot of money on the long side getting caught in offerings. And it was a matter of like, why is this happening? And the short side really led me to Tim Grottani's courses, and then I evolved into Stephen Duck's courses and things like that. And then after I started like formulating my own things, spreadsheets, Excel, um, and that wasn't necessarily you know when I started that, it wasn't necessarily I started out winning as well, but I started feeling more comfortable from that aspect of it. And I think the comfortability in the strategy or the way you're going about trading, helps a lot. So that was really, how I went into short trading to where I'm at, like right now, to be honest.
Man, I actually found out you in YouTube back then when you were posting videos about strategies of I don't know if it was from Stephen Dogs or kind of that kind of wording, that kind of trading on short selling. And I was a I really good follower of you. I don't know why you stopped doing that.
No, so basically, I don't know the legalities of it, but I had the Stephen Ducks courses, and I had like I spent a lot of money like on courses, right? Like a lot of money on courses, a lot of money on just basically like market experience. So at that time, I was doing well in trading. I started to like sort of get it, and I said, "Oh man, let me just start helping people, because I was doing okay. I was working at the time as well. So I said, let me just start putting these courses out there, the strategies, how I understood them. And so I was putting them out on YouTube freely. And my plan was to put like the Ducks courses and the Gratani's courses, even back to like the Sykes courses, because I have all these courses that I've bought over time, but I just kept getting hit up from I don't know, YouTube, and these guys, they were making complaints that, hey, you can't
Oh wow.
put these videos out freely. So they started shutting the videos down, and I started like getting hit up by like, I don't know, lawyers and shit like that. So I was just
Ooh,
like,
wow.
fuck this, I gotta chill out and things like that. So but I really wanted to just help people putting this stuff out freely, because I was like, hey man, this shit is mine. I bought it. I could do whatever I want with it. But that wasn't the case. I mean, I ended up like, people hit me up, and I was just like, I ended up just giving them the like passwords to like the courses and things anyway. So I don't know what the fuck the whole thing was about, but whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, but that was an ordeal, whatever.
And man, how do you trade now? Are you purely systematic or are you a bit of a mix between systematic and discretionary?
Right now I am and I've even like looked at this, man. Like when I go systematic, I mean, when I go like discretionary, like it just does not end well.
Hmm.
Um, Either in small profits or a big loss. So like right now, I just basically stick to a criteria, and I within the criterias, and I have the setup for the criterias how I'm going to enter and how I'm going to exit, and that's just basically I wake up, I look at the criterias, I look at what I'm supposed to expect, and I just hit it. Once the setup gets there, I don't play around anymore because that has cost me a lot of money. And this was like a make it or break year for me. You know what I mean? It was either I was gonna make it in trading, or I was just gonna go back to work full time, like straight up honest truth. I have a family that I have to look out for. So that was like, hey, I'm gonna go all in with this thing, like truly systematic route. I created a formula. I talked, I talked to you about that. Of how to really go about it, and that's just how I've been hitting it hard. And some people are saying, "Hey, bullshit, whatever." I mean, I don't know if I curse on this thing, but I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, my family is fed. I'm doing well, so that's really all I care about.
Yeah, nice. You're doing really well, man. I'm really inspiring being seeing your results of lately. And I wanted to ask you, what were the biggest conclusions you had after the blow up you had, and how did you manage to come back this strong? Because you're doing insanely good.
Um, so this is gonna sound, I don't know, unpopular, controversial, whatever the case may be. I really stopped trying to trade and just pretty much went about a gambling route, like gambling with the numbers and gambling with the probabilities of the setup, And I just boiled everything down to like these are my most profitable setups, and I'm gonna wait for them. And when they come, I'm gonna hammer them. Like I used to play poker a lot, and I
Poker.
have a lot of friends that are poker players, and I even have a couple buddies that are like professional poker players. And I don't really know if you know a lot about poker, but there was a book that came out about poker called "Killed Everyone." And the book evolved and things like that. But it has a strategy within the book that if you don't really know how to play poker, you could just follow this systematic step. Like when you get these cards, this is how much you bet and things like that. And that's really the route I took with this. It was like when this setup comes, um, this is these set of cards, and this is how I'm gonna handle it. Like I'm gonna hammer it, and basically I'm gonna let the numbers play out. And that's just basically I just chose to do something different than trying to trade and trying to read level twos and trying to read time and sales and trying to top tick. I just said, to hell with all that. I'm just gonna go about this, like we talked about systematically. And when it comes and when I see it, hey, buying power, you're going to work and you're gonna try to make me some money. And I just really, just went about it that way and says, okay, I'm gonna take the big wins, but I'm gonna be prepared to take the big losses. And that was the biggest change. There's a trader that's on Twitter, Trader Chen,
Yeah, I know him. I am
and
a
we talked
follower.
a few times, but he said something is that really hit home to me, that fear is for losers. And I don't want to call anybody losers or whatever the case may be, but I had this fear of like really losing money because money is important to me. You know what I mean? I grew up poor. You know what I mean, and things like that. So when money is on your mind, you act differently. You're not thinking logically. You're not thinking objectively. And I had to get rid of that fear. And like I've discussed, like I've went out. I work. So the money aspect of it is not necessarily a problem because I know if I lose, I'm still gonna make some money to provide for my family and things like that, right? So it gives me the opportunity, or the courage, I should say, to really attack these things. And that's really the biggest change. I really deep dived into the psychological factor of why am I afraid to lose, and why do I screw up, and why do I go through this constant cycle of building up, breaking down, building up, breaking down. And it was a money thing for me. For each individual, it could be different. But once I, pinned that down and then said to myself, hey, if I have other income coming in, I'm free to just really attack this thing, and free to really put my buying power to work. I just basically started saying, why am I trading 1,000 shares when I have 30, $40,000 left of buying power, and I believe in this thing and I believe in this setup? And like I said, it could be like controversial or whatever the case may be, but that's just how I started making bigger money. It was just betting bigger, and I thought and believe that's the only way you're gonna make bigger wins, is just betting bigger. I mean, to me, how else are you going to?
Wow,
That's
that's amazing.
you
That's
know, I
amazing.
don't know.
That's amazing. And how's the mental aspect of that change? Like from the night and day, you made a change, an absolutely huge change. How affected that mentally, and how could you handle that extra pressure that you were not used to? How that was the process?
Well, I had to really start out slowly, incrementally. Like you can't go from being comfortable with losing 500 or $1,000 to being comfortable with losing 5,000 or $10,000. Like there has to be an incremental change. So that's really how I went about it. Like I said, when I spoke to trader Chen, he just said, hey man, um, go slow, like go with it incrementally. um, for me, I had, like from January, I was, I really working, I had a good job. So I didn't have the pressure, and this is like so important. I don't think a lot of people understand. I didn't have the pressure that I needed the money from trading. So whatever money I had set aside for trading, I could just go buck wild with it. You know what I mean? Because I was making good money working. And that's really a very important thing, is like, if you have people or the money behind you, backing you, there's not really that stress of losing money, if that makes sense. I don't know,
Yeah,
like, to me
absolutely.
it makes like a lot of sense. So you know my incrementals, or my exponential increase in, the way I look at it is, money I'm losing, right? So when I go in the day, I'm like saying, how much money am I comfortable with losing, you know, based on the money I have set aside trading, right? And if I'm okay with that, like I'm fine, I'm fine with losing that money once I tell myself I'm okay with it, and I've put certain things in place so it doesn't get overboard, with the losses. And I don't really want to get into that because that's kind of part of my edge. But we've talked about that. But
Yeah.
it's just
I,
basically I'm saying I'm a, I'm comfortable with losing this amount of money. And if I'm comfortable with losing, that's how I started out as. I'm comfortable with losing this amount of money. And when I go in the day with that, it's, the profits are just like the gravy. I'm expecting to lose this amount of money and I'm comfortable with it. And that puts the fear aside, to be honest with you. And knowing that I'm working and having money to back it up if I lose makes it even more comfortable. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about your strategies and your methods to enter the market, do you have like I know a lot of traders that trade systematically and they are always looking for that new edge and that new strategy to add to their portfolio and stuff. Are you um, that kind? Are you all the days looking for new strategies and new things, or you stick more to what you have, and if that stops working, then you look for something new?
Um, that's a good question. I do try to look for other things, but not within small caps.
Okay.
Within small caps, I have enough strategies or setups available that I trade that, if one goes, in the garbage, it doesn't work anymore, I could, fall back on others. So I have like different brokerage accounts. And I learned this from someone on Twitter, as a matter of fact, that you trade the different strategies with the different brokerage accounts. So you really have an idea of what's working and things like that. I just upload all of them into Trader Sync. So, I could see where my P&L is. But I know which is working, which is having a drawdown, which is doing really well and things like that. I mean, lately I've just been sticking to one or two, whatever the case may be. But as far as exploration goes, I explore. I'm constantly exploring in other other caps. You know what I mean, like mid caps, large caps, and things like that. Because I don't know what the hell is going to happen next year
Yeah.
with these strategies and things like that. I remember, when I started small caps, there weren't all these gap ups and things like that that we're having now. Um, there weren't all these power plays and things like that that we're having now. So I don't know what's going to happen with the world within small caps and things like that next year. It could go back to a dry era where we're getting 4 or 5 gaps a month. So it's a good idea to have these other things, like in the works just in case, because you never know. So I am constantly looking at things.
Sure. Okay. I've noticed a lot of people on Twitter are that are traders on small caps are looking also like you into more like episodic pivots kind of strategies, breakouts on mid caps, big caps. That's pretty interesting. And as you say, you never know what's gonna happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you know, a lot of the times, you make money trading. I look at the money that I make trading as really savings for the dry time, and also money that I have to put in to invest in trading itself.
Yeah.
As far as like I don't know a lot about large caps. I don't know a lot about options trading and things like that. For me to really cut that learning curve in half, I have to like invest in courses, reading materials, tools, and things like that. So that's like money I have to spend towards those things. And it's just a matter of I have to like hash out what's bullshit and what's not bullshit. It's just part of it. So like right now I'm in the process of trying to learn option trading and large caps and things like that. And I've been through a couple of courses already where I've spent a shit ton of money already on the courses. One of them was bullshit. One of them seemed legit. But it's just part of the game as I see it, because I don't really have the time to like go through it right now, I learn it from scratch. I need a
Yeah.
I need the curve to be cut in half, and it's just part of it. So right now, that's what I'm doing. Trying to get into large caps, and but that's years down the road. It's going to take me a couple of years to really learn that, and slowly get into it. I don't even know if that answered your question. Sorry, I probably
Yes,
went off.
yes. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. That's clever, man, and I like that mindset. And the other question that I wanted to make you is, mm, as we know, you're a user of Flash Research. I wanted to ask you, how do you use Flash Research and how it helps you to find more edge and improve the decision making?
Once you plug a strategy into the system, right, and you see the potential outcome in the long term. For me, I can't speak for other people, right? For me, that really helps with the discipline part of it because it says, hey, if I am disciplined and true and correct in the execution of the strategy, because execution of the strategy is really the biggest thing, but seeing the long term aspect of it in graphic, in graphics, for lack of a better term, helps me with being disciplined and staying true to the strategy. Um, that's one. Two, I would say is, really seeing how the pattern of this particular stock day to day and through its history plays out. You look at ONMD, I think it was the other day,
Yes.
and with the volume, I just knew that was going to be a headache just
Yeah, that was a
from,
choppy chart.
yeah, and the history of it, the historical pattern, it just said it was going to be a choppy chart. But really, for me, it's the day two setups that's, you know, um, Flash has really helped me with is because when I see a runner the previous day and I punch those numbers in of how it performed, I have a really good expectation of how it's going to perform the next day. And I got to be honest, it's been bang on. I've posted some of them on Twitter, but it's been bang on day two. So that's been really a good money maker for me as well. So those really three aspects is how I really use it. Is one, to give me the confidence in the strategy, looking at it long term. Two, seeing how the expectations of the pattern outplay, and my day two setups that has been great.
Cool, man. And you mentioned that you use a lot the average change from open chart or median change from open chart, both on day one and day twos. Uh, Being a systematic trader, how do you use that information to affect your performance, like your decision taking? It's more like a mental, yeah, like you're more mentally ready for something, or how does it impact you?
No, I'm looking for something. So basically, you're gonna go about, like, I could only speak from my perspective of it, right? So the stock is gonna fit your criteria. It's gonna gap up, whatever the case may be. You're gonna get your locates, right? Now, based on the statistics of it, or the history of it, I'm looking for something similar, right? That fits my setup, my strategy, and things like that. You know, um, once that doesn't happen, or let's just say it happens, then I'm good. Hit it. It's either going to be a win or a loss, right? But once that doesn't happen, now I have a decision to make. Now I'm outside of that. And that's when I say, okay, I'm gonna go. This is the discretionary route because it's outside of what I'm expecting. Um, Come to find out, I was looking. This is a digression. Come to find out, I was looking at the other day. There are a lot of things that I think is discretionary, when I'm going outside of what I expect to happen, that in itself is a strategy when I went back and looked at it, as far as time and falling below certain levels and things like that. But it really gives me an idea of I'm waiting for X, Y, and Z to happen. Like that's the game plan. And once I see X, Y, and Z happen in accordance to the historics of this stock or you know the strategy or whatever the case may be, then I could just go ahead and hit it with confidence. And I'm within my realm. If it's outside of that, then I have to chalk that up as discretionary, and I really have to chalk it up as a mistake. It's like really I'm making a mistake trade. So in tracking, my trading evaluations and things like that, that's what I have to put. If that makes sense. It's just telling me that I'm inside the lines or I'm outside the lines. And day in and day out, I am just fighting to stay within the lines. And that's really it.
Okay, okay. And before you had flash research, how did you calculate those data and have those insights? How did you do it back then?
Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
There's a trader on here. I don't know if this is cross pollination with you know Twitter accounts. Goes Hawks. I've got a lot of data from him. Great guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a great dude. He's amazing.
yeah, and I've gotten data from him. I've haven't gotten data from other people as well. Spiky. That, but that takes a it's a lot of extra work, I would say. You guys are more, everything is readily available, you know. Um, but I tell anyone, you have the time, you put in the time, and you're gonna, the amount of time you put in is what you're gonna get out. You have the money to spend on things, to make your life easier, your trading easier, your learning curve easier. You do what you have to and what you must. And that's just real talk. I'm a real dude, a real person, and that's just how I am. If I see a good product, I'll talk about it. Hey, it's good. If I use it, it's good. You guys are great. Gozhawk is great.
Thank you.
A lot of people give Spiky Crash trash. They're great. Like I use all these things. I spend a lot of money on these tools just to help me be a better trader and help me just like get edges and perform. And that's just how I go about it. A lot of people don't have the funds to get these things. I get it. But then you have to make the time. It's just one or the other. I just tweeted this the other day. You're just going to spend money on education, spend money on market lessons, or you're going to spend time. Those are the three choices.
Sure. And I love to hear that answer because that's the exact reason why we created Flash. Like, I don't know if you know the history of Flash, but we created Flash initially for me and my trading buddy to for ourselves. Like we hadn't the idea of commercializing it, and we wanted to build something that made our lives easier.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the brother of my buddy is a co guy, so he came up with Flash, and we saw it was like so beautiful and so well done and stuff that we started thinking about sharing it with other people. And yeah, like it was born because of a necessity of us as a traders to make our lives easier. So it's really nice to see that you are also feeling that way.
No, I mean personally, I think it's a great product. I mean, it helps me with doing what I have to do. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a housewife, a fucking vacuum cleaner helps you with what you got to do. You know what I mean? So it's just like
Hmm.
a product that you need to help you do what you have to do. And for me, it's a great product that helps me with what I have to do. Um, because you could go and I don't know, buy whoever course and get screwed out your money and learn that lesson. It's just
Yeah,
my thought process is
time or money. That's perfect.
time, money, and put in the work. Um, like no one is gonna sit down with you and just go through trading with you. Like like who has that time? Like right now I'm taking someone that under my wing to show them what I know and things like that. I don't know a lot, but it's just I don't know how those things happen. Maybe you like someone, like they're just cool or whatever the case may be. And we're going about it that way. I've taken my cousin under my wing, my friend under my wing. But ultimately, we have to learn and then move on our own. Someone took me under their wing, and I had to learn and move on my own. It's just the way it is. And these tools, I believe, just help you um, with time, of learning, and eventually you would branch off on your own. Um, I mean, I hope you guys continue to improve the site and things like that with
Yeah,
other
we
stuff.
will. Absolutely.
And so, but no, great product. I love the product.
Love to hear that.
People hate on me because I tweet about it. But the hell.
People think we pay you.
Hey, this is another thing. It's like you guys gonna post this on Twitter and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't need anything from anybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like nothing. You know?
We even offered you an affiliate link, and you just said no.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like I don't need anything from anybody. I don't need you guys to buy me anything or whatever the case may be. People hit me up on DMs. I help them as much as I can. Sometimes it's just a lot of things they ask is just like, hey man, you could like look into this stuff yourself. I don't have time for it, but if someone is genuinely interesting and hit me up on DM, and I'll always answer the questions. I think even in my responses, I usually answer everyone in my responses and things like that. It's just right now it's basketball season. I'm a big like basketball fan, so I don't have time for a lot of shit, to be honest with you. I'm just like, but I'm a genuine person, man. I help people out as much as I can. I don't need anything from anyone. I'm not selling anybody anything. I promote what I use, and things like that. My only like regret on Twitter is I did promote Morg, for
Oh
his,
yeah, he was a scam. Wow.
yeah, I guess he was like
He
what do
was
they
faking
call it?
charts and stuff, right?
Photoshopping or whatever. I did promote his mentorship and things like that.
I got a friend that paid for that. Got scammed.
Yeah, so I feel bad about that.
Ah, shit happens, man. You can
But
control them
shit,
all.
man, I've been scammed. It's just part of this damn game. You get scammed, amount of BS courses I've bought and things like that, and you know,
Hmm.
I mean, it's just good to see that these days there are people like you guys, putting out good products. Like I've talked about, Goes Hawks, he puts out good product. And there's just people out there that put out products for people that just do not know how to code and get data and things like that they can formulate a strategy. And I think that helps the new traders coming along. And a lot of people hate because they speak about um, edge erosion, and whatever the case may be. But
Wow, that's a pretty that's a pretty thing on Twitter.
you listen to Chris Verma. He had a good tweet on the whole thing. At the end of the day, it comes down to execution. Uh, Day
Exactly.
Trading Zoo had something on it. He also said, like the person is the strategy. So, you that's why I talked about once I looked into the strategies and see the long term, effect on the P&L, that affected my discipline that basically says, hey, I stay the course. This is going to be all right. And I spoke to you about it, on DM and, other traders, and they just say, hey, man, stay the course. And, that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know? So keep doing what you guys doing, man. To hell with
Thank,
the
thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. We will, and we will keep improving over time. So,
Yes,
brother,
sir.
I, I, I love to have this talk with you. I love you. I love what you do, and and I hope and I know that you will continue growing and inspiring others as you are doing now. So yeah, wanted to thank you for accepting this interview and this talk, and I hope to make another in X months and and see how you're making 1 million a year or more, and I know you will.
I
So
hope so. Next month
thank
I
you,
could
brother.
be red. Who knows? You never know. That's small caps. Green this month, red the next month. But
Yeah,
I
but
think
over the long run, the Q is positive. You're doing the right things, and I
yes,
know you
sir.
will.
All right, brother. You be safe. Enjoy your weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and everything.
Thank you,
One-
brother. Enjoy yours as well. Get some nice time.
Family time, friends and family
Yes,
time, man.
sure.
Family is important. This is why we do this.
Exactly. I'm also
All
doing
right.
that. Thank you,
Take care,
man.
brother.